Hey everyone, welcome. Today we're going to go ahead and install the stovetop in the island. And we are also going to go ahead and do a bunch of trim pieces that include kind of the ends of the cabinets and the kick plate underneath the island. So with that, let's get into it. For those of you that are new, I spent about 6 months of all my free time renovating my kitchen, and I recorded everything I could to share with everybody so everybody else could learn and get some things from it. With that, we're going to get into these end pieces on the ends of the cabinet, and these are just pieces that go on the end of the cabinet that just kind of give that final look. It mounts to the outside of the cabinet, and it just covers up everything and makes it look real clean. So you just need to get some measurements and then go ahead and cut your end cap pieces down, which I'm doing here with a set of clamps and a straight edge. So here I'm just checking the fit to make sure it's good. And I used little pieces of cardboard underneath the clamps just to make sure that I wouldn't damage anything and that it would stay nice and I wouldn't scratch or put any dents in it. That just holds it in place until you screw it together from the inside with these screws right here. I believe they're called panhead screws. I did a little pre-drill just because the screws tend to slip around a little bit. That cabinet surface is very slippery. And just put the screw in and make sure that when you're doing it that the panel doesn't separate from the side of the cabinet and create a gap. All right, so once you have it all together, go ahead and take the clamps off and you're done. Now I went ahead and put in that 2x4. See right there, I attached it from the inside of the corner cabinet, and that gave me something to rest against and mount against and attach to for the piece that goes between the two cabinets. But right now I'm just measuring what I need to do for the end cap of the cabinet. So the same that I just did for the top. All right, while I'm finishing that up, see the little gap there? I had to fill in with another piece of white. And so I went ahead and measured that and put it together, but I kind of lost the footage, so you can't really see it. But I went ahead and filled that gap with another piece of that I just measured and put a piece in there. So now we're going to go ahead and try to put the stovetop, flat top oven in. And this is just me taking it out of the packaging and doing a test fit. And it didn't fit, which I kind of found to be a little flexing because, you know, this is what Ikea said to put in here. So, yeah, I was a little frustrated with this, and so I had to come up with a way to get it to fit. I actually had to cut the inside of the cabinet. So I went ahead and marked how much I needed to cut off and how deep I needed it to go. And because I was going to do that, I went ahead and screwed the cabinets together up higher here just to give it a little more support, because I was going to go ahead and take out the top part of that piece, and I just wanted the structure to be a little bit more sound. So here I'm just measuring out how deep I need to go and give myself a nice set of lines. So that way I know what to cut off. All right, so here I'm just setting the drill depth and just seeing how far I need to go, and then I'm going to tighten that drill bit in that position so I don't go any deeper than that. And what I did then is I went ahead and drilled out the corners of where I was going to cut, so I didn't have to do that, and just went as deep as the drill bit was set. And then I proceeded to cut and recut and cut slowly. Cut the inside, just followed that line all the way around until I thought it was the correct depth. And then when I thought I had it cut in a good position, I went back with a chisel to go ahead and finish out that deeper cut that needed to be done in the back, which worked pretty good. In this pressed wood, it's not the best, but since it was going to be on the inside, nobody would ever see it. That's what I used, so it worked. All right, so here I'm test fitting it again, and once again, it didn't quite fit. There were little screw heads on the other side that I hadn't accounted for. So I went ahead and marked them with a pencil, and I just cut just the tiny little screw bits out, so that way it would drop down in and be level. So sometimes you just gotta make stuff work. And again, I found it kind of strange that this is what Ikea said would fit, and yet I had to do this much modification to the cabinet box for it to actually fit. Kind of surprised. Now it can sit almost 100% level, but what's going to happen is I'm going to put the butcher block wood countertop on top, and it's actually going to sit a little bit higher, so it's going to sit level and flush with the butcher block table, not the cabinet. So I wasn't super worried about the fact that it was still a little bit crooked and a little bit like moving around. So we're going to do some trim pieces that go above the tall cabinets, and these just come in these boxes. You take them out, you've got to put this weird sticky tape on them. It's just a little bit of the soft side of Velcro, it feels like. I think it helps fill the gap between this trim piece and the top of the cabinet box. So you just mark a line on it and go ahead and try to keep it as straight as possible. A little bit of a pain with this curled up Velcro tape situation, but that's not bad. All right, next you're going to take these little brackets and you're going to mount them on the ends of them. You'll notice that these brackets have like a little slot, so that way you can adjust how far in or out when you put the screws in if it needs to be adjusted. It was pretty easy to put in. I think cutting the angles was the most difficult part. So here I'm just putting them on top of the cabinet, trying to do a little test fit, see where everything's going to fit and what looks best. And I just did a little pre-drill and then went ahead and put the screws in. Some fine tuning and adjustment, that's what you get. You get the little trim piece on top of the cabinets, just finishes it off, makes it look real nice and actually like a typical finished cabinet. So that's it. Let's move on to the island end panels. So again, just like the other cabinet, tall cabinet that we put end caps on, we're going to do the same thing on the island. This one, I had to cut two sides because it's a shorter cabinet, and put the wine rack in. And to cover up that cut, they give you this plastic piece. It's got some double-sided, probably VHB tape. You peel it and put it on. And then you go ahead and trim down the excess, which I found to be pretty difficult. I tried a chisel at first, and that was not good. I took too much off because of the plastic and the way it flexes and bends on that foam VHB tape. It was bad news. So my suggestion is just to go with a utility knife. That seemed to work a lot better. It still wasn't perfect. All right, so this is me putting the end caps on the other side of the island. And again, I would use some clamps with some cardboard just to keep them in place, make sure things were good. And this other one, I went ahead and marked with a pencil. I didn't even measure it. All right, looks great. Now that I have it all together, I went ahead and filled just a tiny little gap between the two panels with some white silicone caulk just to kind of seal up the ends, make sure water didn't get in, and then to make sure water didn't get into the other open surfaces that I cut, I went ahead and silicone caulked the top of those panels. This may be overcautious, but I was just trying to make sure that no water would get in there and get those pieces to expand. All right, and last we're going to go ahead and put down this kick plate. I didn't show all the kick plates being installed, but they give you this plastic piece, and here's me cutting it to length. And then when you go to the floor, they give you two little end cap pieces, those white pieces right there. They go on the ends to finish it off. And then you have these little black pieces that attach it to the legs underneath the cabinet. And these are pretty slick. They just go in one direction and then you turn them and they lock in place. And it works pretty well. I thought it would actually be a little more difficult. The hardest part is if your floor is unlevel, then it looks kind of messy. Like you can see my floor is unlevel. So have a more level floor than me and it'll look nicer. You just push it in and it snaps right into place. All right, now that that's all done, we're gonna go ahead and build the butcher block island countertop. And to see how I did that, check this video out right here.